Welcome to Impact Farming, where we introduce you to the people and ideas that will have a massive impact on your farming operation. Brought to you by Farm Marketer. Sit down, start the engine, and let's roll with today's show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's show. I am here at Farm Progress Show 2018, and I have a very, very, very special guest. I've been looking forward to this interview. Let me introduce you guys to Jolene Brown. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I couldn't wait for this interview to happen.
I know. I've been waiting and practicing and watching videos, and you know what? I've watched almost every one of your videos. So let's not get ahead of ourselves. We are going to chat about that a little bit later. Let me introduce you guys to this fantastic guest. Jolene Brown is a real farmer Brown.
Yes.
She is a corn and chicken farmer.
Soybean farmer. No
soybean.
Chicken. Yep.
Okay, my apologies. From
I can hypnotize a chicken.
Oh, that's my next part. That's
on
where
our
that
farm
came
we
from.
raise corn and soybeans. Yes.
Okay. In Iowa, and this is the part I really wanted to include because I just howled when I read this. She can hypnotize a chicken, plug grain augers, and entertain the individuals behind the parts counter.
Oh, yes.
Excellent. I just laughed, so I had to include that. And, you know, Jolene is also a professional speaker for over 30 years.
Yes.
An author and a farm business consultant.
Yes.
So welcome.
Thank you. You got her all in. Good job,
Good.
Tracy.
Okay, good. We are here at the FCC Farm Forum, and you're set to go on in probably just shy of 2 hours.
That's right.
You're going to be chatting with a room full of farmers, and your talk is titled, "If I Huff and Puff, Will I Blow Your House Down?"
That's right.
Can you tell us more about what you're going to be talking about today with farmers?
Well, we all know the three little pigs, right? And the third one did it right. He put in one brick at a time with mortar in between because the big bad wolf is out there to attack our family businesses. And today I'm going to share with them 10 specific things that will blow their house down, because my whole intent, Tracy, is I want them to honor their families by doing the business right. So we have got to get off our duff, and I will tell you, in this room are going to be some of the best producers in the world. They're so good at weeds and seeds, breeds and feeds, machinery, marketing, and mechanics, but it's the people who do all of that work. So today we're going to address the human side of agriculture, what it takes in your families, because if you do not do this right, you will lose both the family and the business.
Totally, and that's often where it goes wrong, right?
You better believe
it's not production, it's people and planning.
Yeah, it's the people that keep you up at night, and the number one thing I'll hear when I finish by those who are attending will say, "You've been sleeping under my bed," and I'll tell them it was highly entertaining, but the bottom line is everyone thinks they're the only ones going through this. But what they also need to hear is there are some things that you can actually do, some tools you can put in place to make sure the jobs get done, because we in agriculture have to understand it's the people that do the production.
Absolutely. And the part about sleeping under the bed, I was actually going to comment on that because I sat and watched every one of Jolene's videos. If there's one I've missed, I don't know where it is. And you know, I was going to add a second part, a third part to your intro and say comedian.
Oh.
And the reason I wanted to include that is because you're smart, you're witty, but it's an intelligent comedian. And what I mean from that is, you know, when you know somebody so well and you can make jokes about it, but it's because it's real, that's what I found about you. I'm sitting there watching these videos. I'm a farmer myself. I know many farm families, and I'm going, oh my goodness, it's no wonder people say you're sleeping under the bed. Does she know about me and our farm?
Yes.
Yeah, so I love that part.
Thank you. And it's so important that if we laugh and relate, then we will learn and apply. I am a farmer. I traveled many of the journeys they have had, but more importantly, I've been privileged to be at hundreds of kitchen tables of family businesses just like theirs. And they've invited me to help them fix or grow or transition their business. And they have taught me what works and what doesn't. So I got to tell you, Tracy, I don't mince words, and I bring tools with me when I consult.
a lady of my own heart. Let's just get to the point.
Okay.
Yep.
So the tools that I bring are 4. I bring a mirror, a box of tissues, a roll of duct tape, and a 2x4 board, and I'm going to use them all.
Really?
Yeah. And the mirror is because most of them invite me. They want me to fix somebody else. You know,
yeah. So we look at ourselves.
Yeah. If Dad would just give up the power, you know, if Mom would just say what's on her mind, if the kids just had a work ethic, well, if he just hadn't married her, we'd be okay. Fix them, and I'm fine.
Isn't that always the problem? Everybody else?
Yes. And so with the mirror, we have to start with the people at the table, but more importantly, we have to start where we are at today. Not all the crap that's happened in the past. Not what Uncle said or Dad said or brother said or sister said or Mom didn't say. We have to start with reality. So the mirror is there. And then the tissues is there's always emotion.
Oh, totally.
There's anger or fear or silence or tears. And these people have taught me something. When emotion and logic collide, emotion's going to win. So I have to deal with the emotion so we can get the work done.
Correct me if I'm can I jump in there?
Yes.
When you're working with a lot of these families, and I'm just thinking of many of the people I know, farm and not, relationships. Sometimes we don't communicate how we should, and then when we start, there's so much pent-up anger and stuff we bottle down that's where that emotion comes from. You're finally talking about it and maybe sharing stuff they haven't shared before. Is that right?
Yes, and most of the time they're not sharing anything people don't already know.
Right.
It's just it's never been brought to the surface. Whether it's passive-aggressive, you know, we're not going to say it, but we're going to work around it and blame you anyway, or whether they really get belligerent, you know, we have to deal with that emotion. Now, I do a lot of that before I even show up.
Oh, really?
It's not uncommon that I will spend 40 or 60 hours by phone, by FaceTime, by Skype, visiting with them, and I have to get the story that's real.
Oh, yeah.
Because now what I've heard from the daughter-in-law is not what I heard from father, and that's not what I heard from his brother, and that's what I heard from the youngest son who started. So I'm putting the pieces together, and there's usually an elephant in the room, and I'm going to find that elephant, and we're going to address it. So I bring a mirror, tissues, I bring a roll of duct tape, and that's not just so they'll listen. We wish. No, I have to tape them to their chair.
Oh,
because some people want to say their piece and walk out the door.
Okay, I can see that.
And others, my feelings are hurt. I can't stay here. I need to leave.
Oh, yes,
No.
I got to go.
Yeah,
Right,
so,
okay.
But the deal here is I let them know right away. If you choose to leave, you can do that, but we get to vote on your behalf. That means you agree with us. And if you're at the table and you say nothing, because you know ahead of time what the agenda is, we've talked, we've prepared. If you sit there and say nothing, that means you agree with us.
Okay.
And so it's your best interest to stay put. And the last thing I bring is the 2x4, because sometimes there's no other way. You just got to let them have it. You know, we got to face reality. We have to get some work done.
Well, if everything else fails, you have that tool, right? And when I heard that in one of your videos, I just laughed as well, because how true. And that covers all the different parts of your job, I imagine, and the difficulties that arise. So that was funny, and I'm glad you shared that.
Yes.
So in your talk today, you're going to be talking about the 10 mistakes that can blow your house down.
Yep.
This is compiled knowledge from many
over 400 kitchen tables.
Wow.
Yeah.
What is one of the most common mistakes?
They assume a conversation is a contract.
Okay.
And that means if things are not in writing, things do not exist.
True enough.
So I'm going to tell them today that farmers lie. They do.
Lie?
Here are their 3 biggest lies. Work hard, someday this will all be yours.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's I'm going to retire. And then there is that dreaded, you don't have to worry about your brothers and sisters. They have their jobs. They're not interested in this business. Well, that's true until you're dead. Everybody's interested in the money. So what I have found is that strong businesses who are working on transition and legacy, they make sure some things are in writing, all the way from a code of conduct to how they deal with conflict, and yes, all the financial stuff too. But there's some specific tools that will help them honor their family and do the business right.
Okay, that's amazing. And you know, I have known so many farm families, and I've seen these mistakes happen, and it's so frustrating because sometimes just a little bit of communication, and like you said, a conversation isn't enough, but just having that starting point, start communicating, acting, treating this as it's the massive business that it is.
And the reason you do that is because you love the family. What I am after is not a family first business, and that is the majority of the people who contact me. And by the way, I'm getting about 20 requests a week to come sit at my table.
I believe it.
And the subject lines are help, help me, can you please help? And I'm always looking for the desperation and the suicide, because mental health is a big problem when the pressures build up too. But what I'm after is to make sure that as we're at these kitchen tables, that we understand we are there as a business first. Family first businesses are those who act on habit and tradition and assumption. Let's not rock the boat. We don't want to get dad mad. Gosh, I think there's a will. Oh, we'll just all get along. And sometimes that works. I call that luck. Okay? What I'm going to teach them today and highlight is how to become a business first family. Now, that does not demean the family. It does not say the business is more important than the family, but what it says is we honor you, this family, so much. We're going to do the business right, because if not, at the end of the day, you will end up with neither family nor business. And one of my talks is called Stop the Fighting on the Way to the Funeral Home.
Oh, isn't it true? And I've seen it. I've seen it. And it's
so let's do, if you love your family, let's do things now to assure that we can still be family.
Oh, you know what? I love it. And there's so many farmers, farm families around that's a common thing. You know, when they're on the way to the funeral home, everything's still unknown. And, you know, you got to get that out of the way. And we don't want to go there, but nobody knows what's going to happen. And there's a farm that needs to be run and who's taking over, and all those different conversations are never had. And at the end, you would know better than I do. Some of the ones I hear about, they just don't end well, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, so today I don't have a lot of time with the group, but we must address fair and equal, earned sweat equity, and the fact that being part of a family business is not a birthright. There is no entitlement here. And I do not want moms and dads hiring sons and daughters. I want really good leaders and managers hiring really good employees. And then you know what? You're doing the business right. You can have evaluation. You can let them know what their job is. You're responsible for coaching them, praising them, correcting them, or firing them. And sometimes I walk in and we have to fire dad, or we have to fire the daughter-in-law, or, you know, we have to face the facts.
A little uncomfortable.
But I don't, you know, I want people to try everybody close to home. I'm from Iowa, and when I come sit at your kitchen table, I'm not going to mediate. We've done all that stuff. When I'm there, I don't come for show. I'm there because we've got to get something done. I love your family so much, and so do you. So let's do the business right.
You're so right, and I love that message. And here on our show, what we're trying to do is bring people and ideas that can impact the farming operation. And like so many people have said, farmers are amazing at production and marketing and all that good stuff, but let's talk about the farm business. And what I want to do is bring leaders like yourself and bring this knowledge to the farmers that are watching. So I'm so happy you're here today.
Thank you. And you mentioned something key, and that is the leadership of the business. If we do not intentionally decide what is needed before who's going to lead, we fall back to our default in agriculture, which is the oldest son, the one who's worked here the longest, and don't get me started on the golden child, the one who can do no wrong. Now notice, I didn't say that the one who's worked here the longest or the oldest son should not be the leader. I'm saying is we're taking a look at what character, what education, what personality, what experience do we need to lead our business, and this one has to be in the people business. Yes, they're going to be out there farming, but their main role is to make sure we have the common goal, we're pulling together, we're correcting things, we deal with conflict, we celebrate and appreciate. Who's the leader of your business right now? Do they have those characteristics and that job responsibility?
Well, and that sounds kind of like the workplace, doesn't it? And what a neat, when you listen to you say that, you go, okay, that's common sense. I'm in business and I've worked for many corporations and they have a strong leadership structure and training and hiring process, firing process. To bring that conversation to agriculture is a little bit different.
Oh, here's the fun thing. I have 6 families right now where the leaders of the business are their daughters-in-law. And everybody's going, oh no, we're trying to keep them from owning anything. You know, you're going to make them the leader. But let me tell you why the daughter-in-laws in these businesses are the best leaders. They came from a different school and background, but most importantly, they're scared to death of doing something wrong. They do everything absolutely right. And therefore the decisions are based on business, not emotion.
You're right, that outside perspective, right? Where there might be a lot of family dynamic for 30 years before she comes in.
But I have to say to the family, if you truly elect her as a leader, and by my opinion, she's the best one, do you know she can fire you? You know, she's going to help decide your paycheck.
Do they
you know,
like
she's
that
going to tell you. So if you say yes, just know this is what you've signed on for. Okay. If you're not going to have a leader and allow that person to lead, then don't elect them the leader. And then I have said to those, whoever's a leader, not only do you have to have a really sharp mind, you have to have a very strong spine. And then you better have a mastermind group or a peer group of other leaders walking the same journey you are, because you're not going to get that kind of support from the people you're truly leading.
Nope. Just like business.
Yep.
Any other business.
Yeah.
Why should agriculture be different than farming, right? That's amazing. I have a burning question.
Uh-oh.
Yes. Why is it so hard to have these conversations? And where I'm going with that is transition, succession. Is it, I'm going to list a few things on my brain, and might be all of them, might not be none of them. Is it control? Is it fear? Is it financial? Why do the current generation not want to have those conversations? Or is it just they're not quite ready yet? Everybody's so passionate about the farm that they just want to brush it off and live and die on the farm. Why is it so hard?
Well, you know, I've heard the farmers who say, I was born in this farm, I want to die in this farm. I want to die with my boots on. I'm going to die while I'm combining. I'll put my head against the steering wheel, I'll go round and round, dig my own grave right there in the field. That's a direct quote from my husband, by the way.
Oh. Okay, so you have a little extra experience.
I have some expertise in this, yes.
Good.
So why is it so hard? There's 3 questions that they must answer, and the first one is, do you really want this business to continue as a business? And I have to talk to the current asset owners, because they have power.
Absolutely.
And I just want a yes or a no. That's all I want. Just tell me a yes or no, because if you say yes, then their job is to replace yourself. Now, this doesn't mean we kick you off the farm. Boy, do we need you. You've been through the rough time for economics, your rough Mother Nature challenges out there, the rough people challenges out there, rules and regulations out there. We very much need you, and we need you on the farm and doing things. But who's going to be walking alongside you? And you now have the role of teacher, because if you've done your job well, you let them labor, and then they begin to manage an area, and then they begin to lead. But at the pinnacle of your career, senior generation, you get to replace yourself. So the question they have to answer with a yes or no is, do you want this business to continue? Then my second question I'll ask him is, so when are you going to do it? During your lifetime, or is it going to be at the reading of the will? Surprise! I just tell me when, and then with whom. Who do you want the business to continue with? Is it everybody equally, be they on or off the business? Is it those currently in the business? Is it just family members? Once I have the answers to those 3 questions, how we do this actually becomes quite easy, because you have extremely good advisors here in this province and beyond. The attorneys, the financial planners, and the accountants. And it's extremely important that we get them involved at that stage. But let's do the work first. Let's start operating as the business.
Okay, so yeah, it is just such a hard thing. And you know, personally, I've seen families go through it, and Anthony and I talk about it, right? Because we see friends, family, we've had a lot of experience. So I am so excited that there are people like you championing agriculture, educating, so that hopefully we can save farms and save families, right?
And we have to be careful of our mindset. We say this is so hard. I want us to say this is such a joyful thing to get done.
Well, it's funny you say that.
And when we learn how to celebrate, how to appreciate all we have done. When I often ask the family, how did this whole business get started? And there are some in the family members who've never heard what mom and dad or grandma and grandpa went through. And they come to the plate now, and I will tell the senior generation, your kids don't have to start where you are at today. You know you didn't. But they can't start where you started either. So we have to make sure that as we work through this transition, I make sure it's not so overwhelming. We get it broken into pieces, and you do the best you can with what you know today. But none of these things are irrevocable unless you make them irrevocable. But there's things that as you grow, and we have to make sure that the senior generation is financially secure first and emotionally ready, or they will micromanage the business to death and will not transition. So it is everybody's job to help celebrate and appreciate.
Excellent. I know you need to head off shortly and prepare for your chat, so I'm going to work to wind the interview down, even though I could honestly sit here and chat with her for 10 hours, and then I think we'd just be getting started. And I'm hoping this is not the last conversation that we can have. You have amazing stuff to offer Canadian farmers, so on that note, I just wanted to, 2 things. I have ordered 2 of your books. I'm a farmer, and I'm a reader and a learner, and I came across your books. I'm impatiently waiting for them.
It takes a while to get delivered from the States, I'm finding out.
I just ordered them not long ago. So that's the impatient Tracy coming out. Can you tell us those 2 books?
Yeah, the first one is Tips from the Kitchen Tables. It's called Sometimes You Need More Than a 2x4. And I very succinctly use very few words and a lot of pictures.
Excellent.
And I tell everybody, this is a bathroom book. You know, take out all the other reading material.
Okay.
Leave it in there. And if you need to mark a page, mark a page.
Okay.
And you know what? Everybody's going to pick it up. And as my father-in-law said, what the heck's that all about? He didn't use heck, but I kind of cleaned it up for the interview. The bottom line is they're very succinct reminders of what we need to do to honor the family and do the business right.
Oh, I like that.
And the second book is Holy Crap, I Married a Farmer. And that is really my thank you gift to my sisters in agriculture. But what was a lot of fun, I speak a lot at the Commodity Classic in the States where we have about 7,000 people. And I thought when I did that as one of the sessions on the main stage, I'd have all women. We had more men. And I said, you're all in this book. You know, because you're going to hear things like the young daughter-in-law who says, be careful if you're a newlywed and you put a racy note in your husband's lunchbox. I had no idea that on this farm, not only do they exchange vehicles, they exchange lunchboxes.
Oh boy.
And my father-in-law will never look at me the same.
You know, I am very excited for both of those books, but the one that has really piqued my interest is Holy Crap, I Married a Farmer. Because holy crispy, I did marry a farmer. So, and I love every moment of it, but I'm really excited to read that.
Whether you're the farmer, whether you invited somebody not from agriculture to join you, or heaven forbid you're 2 farmers who married each other, if we don't start looking at the joy of the celebration and the lessons we can learn. So the last chapter, when I do go through some of the wedding vows, till death do us part, are lessons from people who've lost their spouse. And for example, one of the women said, you know, be careful because you're going to start getting all these bills, and they make sense. So I got one for an oil filter and filter fillers, and so I wrote it out the check and I paid the bill, only to find out that that was a fraudulent invoice. They now have a copy, they have my check, my routing number, my personal signature, and Jolene, our business account was cleaned out in 24 hours.
No.
So yes, the book is full of laughter and celebration, but this is important lessons we learn from sisters in agriculture.
Wow, that's fantastic. And you know, such amazing work you're doing. If people want to find out more about you, and I really recommend you go to Jolene's website, pick up copies of the books. They are going to be great, and go through some of her videos, and then you'll click over to YouTube. There's some really good content on there, and I know I was watching them late one night and just these little nuggets, and I'm going, oh, okay, never thought of it that way. So if somebody wants to learn more about you, where do they find you?
Well, the best place is the website. That's JoleneBrown.com, Jolene. Now, if you just Google Jolene Brown, you're either going to get me or a pole dancer. So look for the Farmer Brown.
Okay.
Let's have some fun as we laugh and learn together.
I love it. Thank you so much. I know our audience is going to love this interview. And, you know, most importantly, thank you for being such a champion, an educator for the agriculture industry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And a celebrator. We need to laugh and celebrate as well.
I love it.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You've been listening to Impact Farming. For more great episodes and articles designed to help you manage and grow your farming operation, head on over to farmmarketer.com. Don't forget to sign up while you're there. We will see you on the next episode.